Oh, okay. So we start with, it's my first time, so please excuse any mistakes. So we start with Jaradamara.
Jai.
Oh, wait, no. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana. Sorry.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari
Jai Gopi Janvalabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari
Jai Gopi Janvalabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajjanaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajjanaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jai Gopi Janvalabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajjanaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
So, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, chapter Canto 4, chapter 31, verse 23 and 24. So I'll just read to the 23 and we can do the 24 together. Maitreya Uvacha Iti Prache Taso Rajan Anyasya Bhagavat Kataha Shaya Vitva Brahma Lokam Yayo Swayam Bhuvo Muni. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear King Vidura, Sri Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, thus described all these relationships with the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the Prachetas. Afterward, he returned to Brahmaloka, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
One has to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead from a pure devotee. The Prachetas got this opportunity from the great sage Narada, who told them of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. So now verse 24. So we'll do line by line. Tepitan mukha niryatam.
Tepitan mukha niryatam.
Tepitan mukha niryatam.
Tepitan mukha niryatam.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Yasho lokamalapaham. Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Dhyayantashtad gatim yayu.
Dhyayantashtadatim yayu.
Dhyayantashtad gatim yayu.
Dhyayantashtadatim yayu.
Tepitan mukha niryatam.
Tepitan mukha niryatam.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Dhyayantashtad gatim yayu.
Dhyayantashtadatim yayu.
Please repeat.
Teyapi tanmukha niryatam.
Teyapi tanmukha niryatam.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Hare nishmaya tatpadam.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Dhyayantashtad gatim yayuhu.
Dhyayantashtadatim yayu.
Tepitan mukha niryatam.
Teyapi tanmukha niryatam.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Hare nisamya tatpadam.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Dhyayantasthad gatim yayu.
Dhyayantasthadatim yayu. Teyapi tanmukha niryatam.
Teyapi tanmukha niryatam.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Dhyayantasthadatim yayuh.
Dhyayantasthadatim yayuhu.
Teyapi tanmukha niryatam.
Teyapi tanmukha niryatam.
Yaso lokamalapaham.
Yasho lokamalapaham.
Hare nisamya tatpadam.
Hare nishamya tatpadam.
Dhyayantastat gatim yayu.
Dhyayantasthadatim yayu.
So, te,
Te.
Prachetas,
The Prachetas.
Prachetas.
api,
Api.
also,
Also.
tat,
Tat.
of Narada,
Of
Narada.
mukha,
Mukha.
from the mouth,
From the mouth.
niryatam,
Niryatam.
gone forth,
Gone
forth.
yasha,
Yasha.
Yasha.
glorification,
Glorification.
Loka,
Loka
of the world,
of the world,
Mala,
Mala,
sins,
sins,
Apaham,
Apaham,
destroying,
destroying,
Hare,
Hare,
of Lord Hari,
of
of
Lord
Lord
Hari,
Hari,
Nishamya,
Nishamya,
Yamya,
having heard,
having
having
heard,
Tat,
Tat,
of the Lord,
of the Lord,
Param,
Haram,
feet,
feet,
Yayantaha,
Dhyayantaha,
meditating upon,
meditating upon
Tat Gatim,
Tadgatim,
Gatim,
unto his abode,
unto his abode,
both,
Yahu, Yayuhu,
Yayuh
went.
went,
Translation: hearing from Narada's mouth the glories of the Lord, which vanquish all the ill fortune of the world, the Prachetas also became attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Meditating on his lotus feet, they advanced to the ultimate destination. Please repeat. Hearing from Narada's mouth
hearing from Narada's
Narada's
mouth
mouth,
the glories of the Lord,
the
the
glories
glories
of the Lord,
Lord,
which vanquish all ill fortune of the world,
which
which
vanquish
vanquish
all ill
all the
fortune
ill
of the
fortune of
world,
the world,
the Prachetas also became attached to the
the
Supreme Personality
Prachetas
of Godhead.
the
also became
Prachetas
attached
also
Prachetas
became
also became
attached to the
attached
Supreme
to the Supreme
Personality of the
Personality of
Lord.
Godhead.
Meditating on his lotus feet,
Meditating on his
Meditating
lotus
on
feet,
his
feet,
they
feet,
advanced to the
and
ultimate destination.
they
advanced
advanced
to the
to the ultimate destination.
destination.
Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Here it is seen that by hearing the glories of the Lord from a realized devotee, the Prachetas easily attained strong attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, meditating on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord at the end of their lives, they advanced to the ultimate goal, Vishnu Loka. It is sure and certain that anyone who always hears the glories of the Lord and thinks of his lotus feet will reach that supreme destination. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 1865, Manmana Baba Mat Bhakto Mat Yaji Mam Namaskuru Mam Eva Shashi Shaktyam Te Pati Jane Piyosime. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. So, Om Gyana Timinandasya Gyanangaya Shalakaya Chakshuramitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Mukam Kurviti Vachalam Bhagam Nagaiti Yat Kipata Mahamane Shri Gurvinatayam Nama Om Vishwadaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Shrimati Tamal Krishna Goswami Nityanamini Nama Om Vishwadaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashkachati Shatayine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakra Patulesta Kipasinaya Chapatitana Bhavani Vaishnavi Namaha. So I have my respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, and hopefully by their mercy something meaningful will manifest. So here we are almost at the end of this chapter. This is very strange seeing looking at me in the screen. I wish I could turn this off. Anyway, yeah, we here at the end of the chapter, not only the chapter, but also of Canto 4. And sometimes when we go through the Bhagavatam, verse by verse, sometimes a few verses even per day, it can take almost a year, or maybe more than a year, to go through a whole canto. So what I'll do, I'll kind of recap a little bit and summarize what the fourth canto was basically about. So when we start the fourth canto, already in chapter 2, we start with the Prajapatis, the progenitors, those who appeared to increase the population of the earth. Now, it's not only human beings, it's all different sorts of creatures. And Daksha is there, Sati immolates herself, we know the whole story. And finally, Daksha is killed and he gets a goat's head. And going through, then there's Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, his whole austerities and what he achieves. Then there's a few chapters about him. Then also is Prithu Maharaj, also a few chapters about him. His father, King Vena, as how he was killed, he was removed. When the great sages saw he was inadequate, he was removed. But then a bad leader is better than no leader, apparently, because then the thieves and the rogues became prominent, and the sages had to churn his body to produce Maharaj Prithu. And this went on for a few chapters also, how the earth refused to give whatever she was supposed to give, and Prithu Maharaj pursued her, even threatened to kill her, even as she took the form of a calf and was running away. Prithu Maharaj wasn't going to hesitate to kill her if she wasn't going to deliver whatever she was hiding. And so we come to King Prachinabharahi. And he married the daughter of the seas, who was a very beautiful woman. And in her, he begot 10 sons. And those 10 sons, these are the Prachetas. This is where we are right now. So that story already started in chapter 24. And so as soon as they appeared, they were old enough. Their father gave them the order, you go, you increase the population of the earth. And they were very obedient sons, so they set out first to do austerities, because they weren't just going to follow the order, such an important order, just out of the senses. So they decided first to do austerities, and while wandering about, they came to a great lake. It was a very beautiful lake. There were lotuses in the lake. There was a fragrance in the air, and they could hear music, drums. And they were wondering, is there a festival going on? What is going on? And as they were standing on the shore of that lake, out comes Lord Shiva. And he appears, and in a few verses, Lord Shiva is described. He's very beautifully formed. He's a very handsome personality. And he sees the Prachetas, who also see him and immediately offer obeisances. And then they kind of, they exchange words. And Lord Shiva tells them, I will teach you a mantra. And so, in a few verses, Lord Shiva teaches them the Rudra Gita. And all it's about, when we go through the Rudra Gita, it's about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how very beautiful he is. It's a very personal description of Lord Vishnu. And we can understand that Lord Shiva has seen him, of course, personally, because we know that when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, even though the whole world could see him, barely a handful of people actually realized he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Lord Shiva knows who is Vishnu. And thus he describes in a few verses of chapter 24 the beauty of Lord Vishnu. And then he blesses the Prachetas. And he says, Brahma gave us this prayer, the Rudra Gita. So Rudra Gita, even though it's called Rudra Gita, it comes actually from Lord Brahma. And Lord Shiva says all the Prajapatis recited this prayer before doing what they were supposed to do. Thus, free of ignorance, the Prajapatis were able to create different entities. It's a very important verse, isn't it? It's a very important understanding. Of course, where we are right now in this day and age, almost nothing has value anymore. Even mundane morality has no value. Even that which is blaringly apparent is being questioned. Is a woman a woman? Is a man a man? Is somebody who lives in his imagination or her imagination? Can we accept that as a reality? Seems that in the Kali Yuga it's possible. So when Lord Shiva disappears after giving this this instruction to the Pracheta that you recite these verses, and so the Prachetas then went underwater into the ocean for 10,000 years. They did austerity. 10,000 years. And while they were doing this austerity during the 10,000 years, their father was busy in fruitive acts. And Narad Muni, taking pity on King Prachinabhari, appeared to him and said, "O king, look in the sky. All these animals you have killed, they are waiting for you. They are waiting for your death. To do what? To torture you and eat you." And so Narad Muni then goes on to tell him about this allegorical story of King Puranjana. And at the end, King Prachinabhari, he leaves home. And he goes away. So in the meanwhile, the Prachetas, they end their meditation, their tapasya, and Lord Vishnu appears to them and tells them that all that you have prayed for, you will be successful. Lord Vishnu appears in a beautiful form, satisfied not just by their penance, but by their mutual cooperation and sincere friendship. That's an important point also, right? Because Lord Vishnu is in the heart of every living entity, even the most abominable species of life. We all have something that makes us cringe. For me, it's a slug. We all have our different, some people cringe when they see spiders or cockroaches. Abominable forms of life for us. But Lord Vishnu is sitting there. Lord Vishnu is also sitting there in the heart of his enemies. So because also Prabhupada says, we are all little Krishnas in quality, of course, not in quantity. So we also have the same nature of Lord Vishnu. So cooperation and friendship is supposed to be natural to us, even to somebody who apparently hates us or creates obstacles for us or situations that creates problems. So by rising above the modes, we discover our nature, that nature that we are, that is similar to Lord Vishnu. It is easily said. It's a practice. Yeah, it's always been a practice. When we are in situations that are challenging, that's when we practice. If those situations don't come, when do we ever get to practice to be a devotee? It's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to get up one day and suddenly realize, oh my God, I'm free of everything that is horrendous. It doesn't happen like that. It happens when we are completely neutral in a horrible situation. This is why, whether we are in the spiritual world, in this material world, or in hell, it doesn't matter. When we are that pure devotee. So, but this all happens by practice. So Vishnu, he came on Garuda and he blesses them. And after the prachetas receive Vishnu's blessing, they recite beautiful prayers to Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu then counsels them, marry the daughter of the trees. So they see Lord Vishnu, they get their benediction, they get the order of Lord Vishnu, marry the daughter of the trees. Now they come out. And Lord Vishnu also told them, enjoy for 1 million celestial years. And in verse 18 of chapter 30, which means the previous chapter, Lord Vishnu tells them, enjoy for 1 million years. And then he says, thereafter you will develop unadulterated devotional service unto me and be freed from all material contamination. At that time, being completely unattached to material enjoyment in the so-called heavenly planets, as well as in hellish planets, you will return home, back to Godhead. I mean, listen to that blessing from Lord Vishnu. I think all of us, if we are honest, we would want such a blessing, wouldn't we? Enjoy for 1 million years in the planets of the demigods, and then you will be my devotee. Because our fear is that we forget. But this is a little bit like this verse, right? Anashaktasha Vishayan. And then the last two verses, lines, Nirbandhas Krishna Sambandhe, Yukta Vairagyam Uchate. So a lot of times we conveniently forget the two first lines of the verse. We like the part where it says, we can use everything in Krishna's service. But we conveniently forget Anashaktasha Vishayan. Vishayi means materialist, a materialist. Anashaktasha Vishayan means one who has completely renounced material desires and is totally, absolutely detached. Doesn't matter heaven, hell, earth, whatever. But this person can use everything in Krishna's service. Yes, where are we? Where are we in our detachment? Or do we create new attachments sometimes? In this age that we're living, it's very hard to see a boundary sometimes. And here, see where they were, their heavenly pleasure, their pleasure was in the heavenly planets, as well as the hellish planets. Actually, when we read about the hellish planets in the Bhagavatam, we understand that they are more opulent than the heavenly planets. Even though the sun doesn't shine there, the pillars are made of diamonds. There are precious stones that illuminate everywhere. Those demons are afraid of nothing, not even the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They fear no one except time. Except time. The hellish planets are actually supremely enjoyable according to Bhagavatam. So the prachetas, if we remember, before they got that benediction, they did austerities underwater for 10,000 years. There's always a process that leads to a goal. As devotees, what we want absolutely is always remember Krishna and never to forget him. The reason why Lord Shiva taught the prachetas that Rudra Gita, which is nothing but glorification of Lord Vishnu, is because he recognized them as Vaishnavas. So they come out and they see that they come out of water, they see that the world, the earth is covered by trees that had overgrown. And they become very angry because as Prajapatis, they are also giving birth to trees. They know that each living entity has their own duty. And they have their duty within a boundary, and they also follow rules. Apparently, the trees also should follow rules. So in anger, they began burning the trees. And when Brahma sees that, he intervenes. Just like when, after Maharaj Parikshit was killed by the snake bird, I forgot his name, Tvashta, was it?
Takshak. Takshak. Yeah, you're right.
The snake bird?
Yeah, Takshak.
Takshak, yeah. Okay, thank you. When he was killed, then Janan Mejai, he decided, I'm going to burn all the snakes. And of course, sages, saintly persons, even Lord Brahma told him, stop, this is sinful. In the same way, Brahma intervenes. Stop, he says. And then to kind of pacify the Prachetas, he advises the trees, give them your daughter, Marisa. Marisa was born from Locha the Apsara and the sage Kandu. And as soon as she was born, poor girl, her mother abandoned her in the forest. So she cried of hunger. So the moon god, taking pity on her, fed her nectar through his finger and left her there so that the trees could raise her. Thus she was the daughter of the trees. And the trees gladly gave Marisa to the Prachetas. Now there were 10 brothers who married one woman, which is kind of against Vedic principles. It is said, it is ordained that one man can have many wives, but one woman can have only one husband. And that's the reason why we know from the Mahabharata, Duryodhana, he said, same thing. The scriptures say one woman can only have one husband, but that woman, she's been naked in front of 5 husbands. So to be naked in front of an assembly of men is nothing new for her. So Dushashan, strip her naked. So to be able to understand that, we need to have some kind of flexibility of mind. We have to be outside the box. One time, long time ago, that was in the 1980s, I lived in Mauritius at that time and would do Sankirtan, house to house, on the streets also sometimes. And we would also make life members, and some life members would pay through the bank standing order, or some would want us to visit every month. It was more personal. They would give the money then, and then they would receive a magazine or a small book or something. So one of the life members had also bought a set of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And so probably he started to read. And then 1 year later, when we went there, he welcomed us, and then he said, wait a minute. He went, he got all the Bhagavatam and said, take it back. And we were kind of surprised. Oh, what's wrong? And he said, I do not believe these fairy tales. Mountains fly? How can mountains fly? There's a section in the Bhagavatam, right? How mountains would fly and would just land anywhere, crushing people, crushing animals, crushing cities, crushing all kind of life forms. And so they were cursed, or they were ordered, I can't remember which, no more flying. You stay in one place now. He could not digest that mountains fly. So you see, also Bhagavatam is full of incredible stories. Indra, out of lust, his body was covered by you know what, and then taking pity on him, it was changed into ice. Now his body is covered with ice. So who believes all that? When we are common people like us, it's very hard to believe. When we are somebody like an Einstein or Da Vinci, we think outside the box. Because people like that are the ones who come up with invention that had never been seen or heard of before. They see material nature as different. If they would hear, if such a person would hear mountains fly, they would probably go to a mountain and try to figure out how to make that mountain fly. Whereas all of us, the rest of the world, would be left in the dust, and we would be laughing because we would think this is clownish. So to be a devotee, to try to be a devotee, we cannot be ruled by the rules of the physical world. Krishna, when described in the 10th canto, he has no inside, no outside, no back, no front. Very hard to imagine, to picture something like that. In the same way, what goes on is very hard to imagine. 1,000 years ago, if we would tell apparently the cavemen, one day people will fly in machines, they would be laughing at us. They would probably be burning us at the stakes or something like that. So even the Prachetas, try to see now, 10 brothers married one woman. How did that even work? Draupadi, when she married 5 husbands, she had a son by each husband. The 10 brothers had only one son, Daksha. It's like a whole circle. It started pretty much with Daksha being killed, getting a goat head. Now it's kind of a third sort of rebirth. Daksha is born again as a son of Marisha. But now, whose son is he? Which Pracheta? Or is it because they were like so together in friendship, in sincere friendship, in cooperation, they were like one soul with 10 bodies? What was it? How do we try to understand that? So, yeah, to be a devotee, to try to be a Krishna's devotee is not easy. Not easy at all. Bhishma is one of the Mahajan. And Krishna tells Arjuna, place Shikandi in front of you. And from behind Shikandi, release your arrows and kill him. That's his very dear devotee, one of the authorities on devotional service. It is said, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in Sarata Darshini, maybe Lord Shiva, Narada, maybe Brahma understand, they know of Krishna's plan, and they understand Krishna's plan. Nobody, no one knows of his intention. It's very hard to understand Krishna. We really have to let go. And the term that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur uses is self-abnegation. Ab is a German preposition, meaning to take away from, to reduce. So self-ab, to diminish. Self-abnegation, it means there's almost 2 negatives in that compound word. Ab is to take away, to diminish, to reduce, to decrease. Negation, negate. So it's like we reduce our self and we negate that self. He's talking about the body. So that I, the soul, I can emerge who I am. Krishna is unlimited. Within our boundary, we have the same nature. So now slowly we come to this verse where we are. So the last canto, the last chapter of this canto, the Prachetas leave home. They leave their son with their wife and they travel for spiritual enlightenment. Now remember, in the beginning, they were blessed by Vishnu himself. Lord Shiva blesses them with mantras that glorify Vishnu. And Vishnu is very, very pleased with their devotional service, appears to them and guarantees them devotional service. But see, they still leave home, and by yoga and pranayam, they try to fix their mind on Brahman. And Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purports, he mentions that they were following the instructions of Lord Shiva, and Brahman in that case meant Lord Shyamasundar. So while they're doing that, Narad Muni is interested and visits them. And Narada they start to exchange words, and the Prachetas start to speak. Then in verse 6 of this chapter, they say, "Oh Master," while talking to Narad Muni, "may we inform you that because of our being overly attached to family affairs, we almost forgot the instructions we received from Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu." Again, when we read Bhagavatam, this is not just dried ink on paper. It's not dead words. When we read such a verse, such a statement by real people, this is not story, it's history, right? Real people, real actions, real events that took place, then we always question ourselves, where am I in all that? They saw Lord Shiva, they saw Lord Vishnu, they got blessings, and still they're saying, our being overly attached to family affairs, we almost forgot the instructions we received from Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. These normally resonate with us. I guess we come to that point where we take stock of ourselves. And then we honestly pray to Krishna. I am a creature of Kali Yuga. What chance do I have? So see how Narada replies again and again. That's why Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is Amala Puran. Again and again, it's all about Krishna. All the verses that he speaks, Narad Muni, all the verses lead to engaging in devotional service with the personal Supreme Lord. He says all your austerities are useless without devotional service and without connection to that personal Supreme Lord. I think son. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Useless without everything that we do is useless without even at least desiring. I heard in one class, it's very, very rare to get a human birth. A birth as a demigod is easier than a human birth, because only in the human birth that we have the choice to want to be an associate of Krishna. And more rare than that is the desire to be a devotee of Krishna. To be a devotee of Krishna is easy, but the desire to be a devotee of Krishna, that is very rare. And I think if we all kind of look inside of ourselves, we know that, don't we? And the other thing that is even rarer is to meet that authentic person who will give us this process, which means an authentic guru. To meet an authentic guru is also extremely rare. So that's the reason why in the purport, Prabhupada mentions, in both purports actually, we should learn devotional service from one who has seen Krishna, a pure devotee. So in verse 20 of this chapter, Narad Muni says, being completely cleansed of all material desires, devotees are freed from all mental contamination. That's an important point, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, for most of us, the difference between transcendental and mental is so subtle that we will miss it. Transcendental is characterized by the absence of speculation. Whenever we will speak Like when the Goswamis wrote literature about Krishna, it's what they were seeing. They see and they write. It's nothing that they imagine. So now when he says, thus they can always think of the Lord constantly. So, devotees are freed from all mental contamination. Thus they can always think of the Lord constantly and address him very feelingly. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing himself to be controlled by his devotees, does not leave them for a second. Just as the sky overhead never becomes invisible. So the pure devotee knows Krishna and he can give us Krishna. And every word that the pure devotee speaks normally should inspire detachment. If we desire, you see, we always have to come back to this basic point. What do we desire? Why are we even here in Krishna consciousness? Is it because it's a life in mode of goodness? Is it because it makes me feel happy? My mind is peaceful. It is a life in the mode of goodness. You know, it's a life a little bit above all the modes, most of the modes at least. And so, but then a devotee of Krishna goes beyond that, right? We want a relationship with him. Now, again, it comes back to that reality, but do we want that? Do we desire to know Krishna? Do we desire to know his dealings with his devotees and his enemies? Do we desire to know his likes and dislikes? And thus we serve him according to what he likes. See, when we start to think like that and to feel that, then this leads to a real, palpable relationship, like anyone that we know here. We can have that kind of relationship with Krishna. Narada, when he spoke, he inspired a relationship with an individual, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is deeply personal. Lord Shiva's description of Vishnu was so beautiful. One of the verses, I'm just going to read because it's so beautiful. The Lord's beauty resembles a dark cloud during the rainy season. As the rainfall glistens, his bodily features also glisten. So you look at him, he's radiating. Sometimes women use makeup on their face and there's something that makes their face kind of glow. It's now the whole body of Krishna is radiating, glowing. His bodily features also glisten. Indeed, he is a sum total of all beauty. He has a mind-attracting smile, a beautiful forehead, and equally beautifully decorated ears. His black hair is curly. His garments is waving in the wind, appearing like flying saffron pollen from lotus flowers. We can just picture that, you know. You see lotus, the wind is blowing, the pollen is just flying like a ballet dancer. The Lord's dhoti garment is just having their own ballet dance in the wind. His shoulder is like a lion. His abdomen is beautiful due to 3 ripples in the flesh. That's his abdomen. He's got a washboard abdomen. And it is glistening. Can we imagine how attractive this is? When he exhales and inhales, the movement of these ripples appears very, very beautiful. The washboard kind of moves in a very sensual way, glistening. It's such a beautiful description of Krishna. It's so personal. His lower part of his body, the waist, is dark and covered with yellow garments, and a belt bedecked with golden embroidery work. So Krishna is real. When we see the deity also, he is not a representation, he is not an incarnation. He's directly Krishna himself. In one lecture, Shivigraha and Galagraha, that's the title of the lecture of Prabhupada. Prabhupada says we have to develop feelings for Krishna. Otherwise, he says, when I'm gone, you will think this old man has given me a burden. So especially when we engage in deity worship, here's an opportunity to kind of develop real feelings, the way that we try to dress Krishna the way that he likes. So how do we come to understand all that? Is by reading, yeah, of course, and also so important, so very important when we chant Hare Krishna, when we chant our rounds, when we chant in kirtan. We have to try. Never, never, ever let up. We have to try to make that relationship with the name. We have to try to hear that name. And when we realize we haven't been hearing for 1 hour, we just be detached, try again. Krishna says it is possible. When Arjuna said, but Krishna, my mind, obstinate, whimsical, turbulent. There's a storm going in there. We all know that. And so obstinate, stubborn, won't let go. And whimsical, always jumping from one subject to the other. And more difficult to control than the wind. So Krishna says, but Arjuna, it's possible by constant practice and detachment, which means we don't beat ourselves. We just try again, we try. So faith in the name is super important. I'm just going to read, it's from Jagadananda Pandit's Prema Vivata. Those who hear about the various results, so Krishna is speaking, those who hear about the various results attained by chanting my name, but have no faith in them, and think them to be exaggeration, I throw such persons into the dark, troublesome material world, after subjecting them to a myriad of miseries. So, you see, Srila Prabhupada have given us his association through his words and the scriptures. And this gives us the ability to process and the process of a real relationship with Krishna. All we need is just we have to desire it. So thank you very much. I want to stop here. Maybe somebody will want to add something or comment something, question something. I'm going to wait. Hopefully somebody reacts. It's too weird otherwise.
Haribo Mataji, thank you so much for class. That was amazing, really awesome. Really appreciate that. I don't have any questions. Actually, Mataji, I felt like you explained everything so nice. I really liked the emphasis on desire and emotion. You know, when we invest our emotion correctly, that can increase our desire nicely. And if it's aimed toward Krishna, gosh, what can manifest can be quite wondrous. I really don't have much else to add, Mataji. Thank you so much for your association.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I will just add a last thing before we end. So I remember being in Switzerland one time with a group of friends. We were talking about what Krishna desires. And one of us mentioned, yeah, we have to come to the level to serve Krishna as he desires. And I remember one of the devotees saying, oh my God, not right now. It's a bit scary because we don't know what Krishna does, how he takes away from us to come to that level where we serve him as he desires. It means then he will start to work on us, and it's a bit scary. But see, being in this material world is even scarier. So yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. If anybody has anything to add.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranams Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I was just, because I heard this for the first time, I just failed to read that Marisa got married to 10 Pachetas. So I was a bit more curious about it to know Like, when it comes to examples in history, it's always quoted only about Draupadi. They never quote the example of Marisa getting married to 10 Prachetas, because I know Prachetas had a son named Daksh, right? But would you please throw some light on this, Mataji?
To tell you the truth, when I read, I also was surprised that I missed it so many times. That's why Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is alive. Yeah, you see, there's a lot of information in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and this is something we can miss easily because the Prachetas and Marisa, they are not like so prominent in the sense of even Daksha. It's not stories that we quote again and again. They're not prominent like Brahma or Narad Muni or Ambarish Maharaj or Prithu Maharaj, Dhruva, Prahlad. That's why we missed it. No, show some light. I really don't know more. Prabhu, I am so sorry. We just have to accept how it is. These are things that are, ununderstandable. Just like also we would say the carrier of Lord Vishnu is Garuda and his favorite meal is snakes. He's not even vegetarian, so how to really understand that? Can't.
Yes, Mataji, we just have to accept it.
Yeah,
But
we just accept it. Yeah.
when Draupadi got married to 5 Pandavas, they
Yeah.
had a lot of rules and regulations, like,
Yeah, once a year with each one of them, and they could not
Yeah.
enter the chamber while
Yeah.
the other brother was in. And that's
Yeah.
why one time when Arjuna was approached by some of his subjects because he had to go and fight somebody, but his bow was in the chamber of Draupadi and Yudhishthira was there. And he entered anyway. So whoever would enter would be exiled for 1 year.
Mm.
So he left for 1 year, even though Draupadi and Yudhishthira told him you don't have to do that. But that was good because during that 1 year, he married other princesses and made alliances. Yeah, I know they had rules. So we don't know more. What Bhagavatam gives us, this is what it is. I even went to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sarata Darshini. I didn't see more. And yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Kadambini Radha here. Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much for your class. Nice to see you here in Brisbane. Most welcome. I just wanted to read from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, just as translation, Canto 11, verse 2 and 42. And here is written, devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. So it's such a nice verse which is actually telling us, anasaktya sa vishyan yatharham upjunjate nirvanda Krishna sma. So we can all chant, which is our main devotional service, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And by chanting, we may not be having much interest in that to start with. When we ask new people to chant Hare Krishna mantra, they don't have faith. They start chanting. And when they start chanting, then slowly they develop that taste. So we should not be really frustrated that people are not chanting without knowing the meaning and all that. But by chanting Hare Krishna mantra itself will give us purification, and then we can chant with more devotion. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hopefully we'll see you in person.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we'll end here. So I don't know how to end that. The host will have to end that. So we'll see you tomorrow for Noshing Day's Appearance Day. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Her Grace Radhika Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay.